There's been an update on the UK's new temporary shortage list, and people are wondering, is this a new visa route? Is the UK hiring again? And many more questions. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking it all down, okay? We're going to be talking facts, not hype. We're going to be covering what the temporary shortage list, that's the TSL, actually means, why it was created, which jobs are being reviewed, what this means for migrants moving forward, both those in and outside the UK, why 31st December 2026 is a very important date, and many more. So stay tuned while we go straight into it. So obviously, the UK government has made major immigration changes. I'm sure if we begin to count now, we're not even going to finish this video. It's going to be very long. Firstly, the goal has been to reduce net migration and also encourage employers to focus on training people within the UK, you know, local staff and everything, just to reduce reliance on overseas applications or overseas workers, right? So it has really not been as easy as it used to be to get foreign workers because it gets difficult by the day. But as a result of this, there's been labor shortages in various sectors in the UK, right? A lot of sectors are complaining that the immigration rules are affecting them. Like some sectors have really struggled. They're really struggling because they are finding it so difficult to get workers to fill up these roles that are in shortage. Sectors like engineering, construction, healthcare, you know, trade industry, and so many of them. So instead of entirely relaxing immigration rules, the government asked the Migration Advisory Committee, that is MAC, to review and see if a targeted temporary system can help fill up these gaps. So MAC then recommended the temporary shortage list. So this is how the temporary shortage list came about. So this is the temporary shortage list stage 1 report as published, okay? But it's a very long read, right? But guys, NHS employers has summarized it and made it very easy for us to understand. So let's quickly go through it together. The report concludes stage 1 of the MAC's review and provides recommendations on which RQF 3 to 5 occupations should move on to stage 2. So basically, the TSL is being developed in 2 stages. Stage 1 has already been completed and is about research and evidence. What MAC did was that it looked at the occupations and then it identified about 82 roles that might qualify for temporary inclusion, you know, and just make it easier for employers to hire people in this sector temporarily, right? Now for the stage 2, which will be published sometime next year, they say that in that stage 2, they will now look at evidences they've collected from employers, from unions, from different industries, and see the ones that are not going to make permanent, okay? But for the stage 1, which has been already concluded, they identified about 82. The health and care occupations featuring in the list include laboratory technicians, medical and dental technicians, right? There's also construction and engineering, where you get builders and welders. They are also saying dancers, photographers, musicians are in demand. In fact, there are lots of occupations. Like I said, there are about 82 of them. So you can just go through them and see the occupations that have been added to the list, okay? Other roles such as nursing auxiliaries and assistants and pharmaceutical technicians were not featured on the list. So there are other occupations that were also not featured. So like I said, it's better to go through them and see the ones that are featured and the ones that are not. Currently, these roles have temporary access to the immigration system through the immigration salary list, which will be phased out by December 2026. Now, the report outlines recommendations and other aspects the government should consider when creating the TSL. And this includes the default duration for an occupation to be added to the TSL to be 3 years, but may be shorter, 18 months, if initial job plans lack detail. Obviously, as we have seen, as we have established, this is just a temporary way the government wants to solve this problem that has come up, okay? You know how, for example, you're ill and you really need to see a doctor, and then you just take painkillers just to subdue the pain until you're able to get a GP appointment or until you're able to see a doctor. And then when you now see a doctor, they can now offer permanent solutions. And then the visa durations could be between 3 to 5 years. So if you're going to be getting a job on this list, you get a 3 to 5 years visa because it's just a temporary solution, okay? But they do not recommend renewals beyond 5 years if the government decides the TSL not to be a route for settlement, right? So it's entirely up to the government, okay? They're going to also support in-country switching to higher skilled roles. That is RQF level 6 plus roles within the skilled worker route. So while you're here temporarily, you could decide to upskill and then get a job that qualifies as a high skilled job or RQF 6 and above, because these temporary jobs are the ones that are RQF 3 and 5, which the government have said that, see, you cannot bring dependents under these roles because they are low and mid-skilled jobs and everything. So while you're here temporarily and you're able to get a higher skilled role that qualifies as RQF 6 and above, then you can switch to a skilled worker visa route, which is a permanent route to settlement. And also, a new entrant discount is not appropriate. So you guys all know what the new entrant rule is, right? It will also maintain immigration health surcharge fee. So if you're coming in temporary, you're still going to pay the immigration health surcharge fees with no salary discounts, such as new entrant, like they've said before. And then the IWP, which is the immigration white paper, has already ruled out dependents for the TSL. This is exactly what I explained earlier, right? So if you're going to be coming in temporarily, you cannot bring your dependents. So you can find these reports on the government website, which is here, which I showed you guys earlier. So duration of TSL, visa and settlement, that the TSL being temporary could also refer to the length and time that a migrant is able to stay on the visa and whether the TSL provides a route to settlement. UK work visas that do not provide a route to settlement include seasonal worker visa and all those other visas, So you're going to just be here for 3 to 5 years. So these are the arguments they made why TSL occupations does not offer a route to settlement. Number one, employer incentives for training domestic workers. A fixed length visa might add a greater incentive of employers to utilize domestic workers as a longer term and more stable solution than hiring overseas workers. What about fiscal impact, net migration as well, because not offering a route to settlement reduces net migration by significantly increasing emigration of visa holders qualifying on the TSL, although net migration would not necessarily be zero, as some may switch to other work routes or to family visas. It is also possible that having no route to settlement would make the TSL less attractive to migrants and employers, okay? So they are saying that it will help reduce net migration, which is the aim of the government, because it will not be attractive, right? It's a temporary work visa. It's meant for you to come in and go. It's not a route to settlement. You're not going to get ILR under that visa route. Even though for those who are able to get a job that is on the higher skill level, you can then switch to a skilled worker visa, which leads to settlement, right? So these are some of the arguments why it shouldn't be a route to settlement. It will further help them to reduce migration. And again, they're saying it will reduce migration and it will also increase emigration. So they're encouraging people to leave the UK as well. And then the arguments for the TSL being a route settlement are it will appeal more to workers. So they are appealing for and against. So it will have greater appeal to workers, lower turnover in communities, greater progression and lower turnover in businesses and everything. So basically, they're saying to reduce productivity, they keep changing staff. These people come, stay for 3 years and go. Another set come, stay for 3 years and go. Like, the company is not going to be that productive. It's going to reduce the productivity of companies, of businesses and everything. So they're just saying, let's just put everything on the table for you. So it's entirely up to the government to make that decision whether it's going to be a route to settlement or not. So, and you guys trust me that whatever happens, whatever comes up, any update, anything that follows, I'll definitely let you guys know, okay? So if the government decides the TSL visa should continue to offer a path to settlement, then the length of the visa, including renewals, will need to be aligned with the duration of that pathway. If the government decides against a path to settlement, it will need to decide what visa duration strikes the right balance between providing stability to individuals and businesses while also influencing sectors to improve pipelines for the domestic workforce. So we've talked about switching to other visa types. It says we support in-country switching to RQF 6+ roles in the skilled worker visa route, right? If you want to switch, you have to obviously meet all the criteria for the skilled worker visa route, you know. So we also do not see any reason to explicitly ban switching from RQF 6 roles onto the TSL. But do not imagine this being popular because of the lack of allowance of dependents and potentially less favorable settlement conditions of the TSL when compared to higher skilled occupation on the skilled worker route, right? You can as much decide to switch from skilled worker visa route to the TSL route, but you have to bear in mind that TSL does not allow dependents while the skilled worker visa route allows dependents, okay? For sponsorship, the skilled worker sponsorship model requires employers to hold a home office license, issue COS, and everything, right? They haven't really concluded from this exactly how employers are going to be recruiting people, because they say for the skilled worker route, you need an employer to give you sponsorship. You know, they will serve as a guarantor to you. They owe you a duty of care and everything. So this is most likely going to be the model the TSL would operate. However, they are going to put small businesses and those that are self-employed into consideration as well. Maybe they'll come up with something easier for such people to be able to employ workers under the TSL route and everything. So they suggest that the Home Office explore other models of sponsorship which could be more beneficial for some occupations in the TSL, particularly the construction sector. Therefore, we do not recommend any immediate change from the skilled worker sponsorship model, right? The mark is just bearing everything on the table for the government to see, okay? The pros and cons of everything. If you decide to do this one, this is what it will be. If you decide to go this way, these are the things you should consider. So it's up to you to make the final decision. Now, for the caps on the number of visas, we do not think it is viable to try to set a cap according to the optimal or required number of migrants that are needed in an occupation. They're not recommending any cap. They're just saying, see what we have recommended, see what we think, see what you should do. So it's entirely up to the government to make that decision, right? If they create a cap, they're saying that some industry needs more workers than the other. So if they say, oh, every sector should be able to bring 1,000 every month or 2,000, what happens to those sectors that needs more people? They're still going to suffer because they have not gotten the required number of people. And then those ones that don't need so much will now have more. So like we have seen, Mark is just putting everything on the government, pros and cons of everything, laying everything on the table bare for the government to see what the impact of each decision they make would be, you know. So they're saying the Home Office should just look at it and decide on what to do so that they don't experience high visa grants like they've done previously. So for visa fees and charges, the main fees are the application fees, the immigration health charge, and the immigration skills charge. So we do not have observations on the factors that should be considered when setting fees for the TSL. Government should do that. So for English language requirements, recent policy changes in the IWP have stated that the Home Office will increase the English language threshold to B2 for occupations on the skilled worker route. So at the minimum, the committee suggests that the English language requirement for the TSL is not lower than the pre-immigration white paper level of B1. So for salary thresholds, they are also reviewing salary thresholds and discounts across the skilled worker routes in detail alongside this review, and will report to the Home Secretary in December 2025. So it's going to still be the same salary threshold for the skilled worker visa routes, okay? This is the list of all the jobs jobs that have been recommended, 82 of them, right? Just like I said, do well to go through them at your convenient time. They are all on the government website, gov.uk, so that you will know the jobs that are on the list. Okay, so this is everything that Mark has recommended so far, and the whole details, how the process would go, and everything you need to know. Okay, feel free to read it up yourself. It's on the government website so that you can get more details, you can get more information, because it's always good to know exactly what's going on. That will help you plan better, right? So yeah, that is it. If you find this video helpful, do well to like this video, drop a comment, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and share it to everyone that benefit from it. My name remains Tochi, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye bye.